It might not surprise you to learn that Chermiti is getting a bit of a beating. Gianni says Chermiti's miss was unreal. Derek says, why we never signed Shankland if he's a travesty, only top scorer in Scotland. He also says, I've got osteoarthritis in my knees, and even I could have scored one of those threes missed last night. And finally, John says, penalty or no penalty. The fact of the matter is that Rangers have dropped 4 points in the last 2 games, hopeless form, and yet another rebuild is required. I've actually got to the point now. You coined the phrase earlier, Keith, about in the wrong movie. I actually kind of feel sorry for Chermiti now because it's just not happening for him at all.
I wouldn't feel too sorry for him. Apparently, he's in a cracking wage packet.
He probably will be,
sorted by Kevin Thelwell. No, that's inexcusable. That miss last night was inexcusable. Inexcusable for a striker that cost you £1 million. Never mind 8 going up to 10. Is 4 yards out for an open goal. All he's got to do is make contact. But I keep saying about Chermiti, the impression he gives me is, I nearly got there. I nearly did that. He's the nearly man. And you don't pay £8 million for a nearly man. I think it's a catastrophic error of judgment. And there have been games where he puts himself about physically for a bit, but then sort of fades away. There is nothing about this guy. On no basis could I have been convinced that this was the player, especially when you're letting Dessers, Cherny and Egerman, you're letting them out the door. And you've probably spent more on Chermiti than they did get for Egerman. That's the bottom line here. They've lost money and brought in a player that is... And have you seen some of the moments and the goals that Egerman's having in the French League? He's tearing the place up.
He's flying.
He's going to be in the English Premier League and he's going to go for a far bigger fee than Rangers get in from. They better hope they negotiated a decent selling. But, I mean, when we talk about a summer of downgrades, that's exactly... He's the poster boy for it, Chermiti. He's well, I hate to say it, but he's hopeless. And, you know, I saw some of the comments there, and it's interesting because I don't disagree with some of them about Danny Rohl. He doesn't strike me as a very charismatic or inspirational leader. When you hear him talk, it's hard work sometimes. And you wonder, now that's, look, I'm not going to say Martin O'Neill was the king of the press room, wasn't he? And it was really engaging. It's brilliant to listen to. Danny Rohl's hard work to listen to. I wonder what he's like in the dressing room. I wonder how inspirational he is in the dressing room. That would concern me. Because there are guys in there that clearly need a rocket right up their backsides. And I don't know, maybe I'm being really unfair, but he doesn't really appear to me to be the type of guy that might be able to deliver that. Now, I do agree, and I said that last night, Daniel, that was a much improved Rangers performance when compared to, you know, the effort they turned in against Falkirk at the weekend. But in order for them to get on the front foot, as they did last night, they had to leave themselves more exposed at the back. So it was also a tactical switch. He took his chances. We need to get more bodies forward. We need to get more runners at a midfield, empty the midfield, get beyond the Dundee United's defence. And it left big holes. And they were being picked apart. And they were, as much as they were unlucky not to score maybe 4 or 5 goals themselves last night, they were also lucky not to concede 4 or 5. So the balance is all wrong. And I just think that Danny Rohl's going through a really difficult period. And this is what I'm saying to you. And I wrote it in a column last week. You get the most experienced, worldly wise manager in world football right now and deal him the hand that Danny Rohl's been dealt with, and he'll struggle with it. He'll struggle to make that work. You've got a guy in there that's 36 that has had 1 full season at Sheffield Wednesday. Again, it just strikes me as an incredible decision. Incredible high-risk decision. And when you listen to him, I don't know what you think, Mick. When I'm listening to these press conferences, I automatically try and think, how does he get his message across in the dressing room? I think it's a worry.
It doesn't come across as the most kind of rabble-rousing of characters, does he? I think he's more methodical. But you got to listen, the guy's been handed the equivalent of a managerial hospital pass.
Yeah. In order to make that work, look at Martin O'Neill, mate. Martin O'Neill get handed the exact same thing. Look what he did. Yeah,
I think he's trying to work out a way of. I mean, the weekend, this week summed it up really. I mean, they're defensively resolute at the weekend. We can't create a chance. they go a bit more kind of expansive and offensive. They created 32 attempts in goal last night, 10 on target. But then they're wide open at the back, and he could have lost more than 2 goals as well. So he's got that kind of the old line of it. He's got a quilt that's not quite big enough. He pulls it up to keep his head warm, and his feet get. So he can't get the full coverage right now. So he's another one. He's just limping on to January, trying to survive without too much damage until January. But it's just he is dealing with a loaded debt right now. When the guys up front, I know Chermiti's he's copping a ton of flack, but Majovski's another one not doing the business. Danilo, now how long? I know he's had injury problems, but a lot of money he cost. Was it 6 million quid? Danilo.
I think he's on a fair wage as well.
Fair wage. Not doing. His old man's busier off the pitch dancing about and all that stuff. Not enough.
What does it tell you that these two are getting regular starts in front of Chermiti? Then?
Yeah, exactly. But they're still not doing the business. And they need to start earning their bucks. But a bit like across the city, I think Rohl has to hang on as best he can to January and hope that the owners are feeling a bit generous to try and repair some of the damage done from the summer. Otherwise, it's going to be a heck of a long season. It's been a heck of a long season for them already. But it's going to be a hell of a long slog if we don't get that fixed in January.
In the comments, you're low up. It says, I remember saying to Keith, I was taking Luis Figo's word over Keith's about Chermiti. How wrong was I? I think Luis Figo backed him when he first came to Rangers. But there
Fair
you go.
play, you're loyal Muppet.
That's it.